Welcome to 100% Alive, the show where you overcome your fears, your frustrations, and your failures to do what you never thought possible. I'm Dr. Lauren Murfield, and I'm your host. You ran a marathon? Nah, that's impossible. I'm Dr. Lauren Murfield, and welcome back to 100% Alive. You know, when we live 100% alive, we're going to do things that we never thought possible, and we're going to do some things that other people never thought possible. You know, in the last episode, I talked about finding our why, finding our purpose, and me going back to college and earning my PhD. And saying why. Now, in that, what I was implied was that find your purpose. Find your purpose in living as well as living 100% alive. Not just selfish, but living 100% alive. And when you do that, you're going to find yourself doing what you never thought possible. And you're going to find you're doing what other people are going to look at you and go, really? Doc, you did that? For example, during the pandemic, I wrote 17 books in 18 months. Now, realize that when I say those things, that's not bragging. Some people say, I think it is. No, it's not. It's being amazed that we can do things that we never thought possible. And the thing is, I didn't set out to write 17 books in 18 months. That wasn't my why. My why was, I'm stuck at home. What else am I going to do? I might as well really use this time of lack of distractions to really focus and make my pivot. And it worked. It's exactly what I wanted. Now, I wrote them to help clarify my ideas, not necessarily sell 1 million copies. That time is coming. We find what we can do that we never thought possible. When we're in survivalist mode, all that we're looking to do is the bare minimum. We're looking at surviving, not thriving. We're looking at saying, what's the minimal I have to do to get by? Remember, I talked about my students, too many of them were saying, what do I need to do to get a good grade so I can get a diploma? And they figured then someone would give them a good job. Also know that you'll never, ever find your ultimate by someone giving it to you. It doesn't work that way. It's an inside-out world that we live in, and to live 100% alive, to do what you never thought possible, it's going to come from inside. And those people that are only doing the minimum, the only that are saying, that's good enough, those are the ones that are saying, oh, I don't think I can do that. Doubt. Oh, I don't know. You know, that's just depressing. I don't think I'll ever be able to do that again. Depression. It's like, yeah, I wish life would have turned out better. You know, well, at least I made it through this long. That's defeat. It's like, no, that's not what we're designed for. But how many people do you know that by the time they're 30, especially by the time they're 40, and way too often by the time they get to be 50, are saying, I'm old. That part of my life is over. Well, my wife came home from the office. She's had asthma since her 20s, and doctor told her she would never run again. And she believed him. Fast forward, we're in our 50s, and her office was going to run in the local 5K that's quite big. tracks thousands of runners. She goes, what would you think if we ran into 5K? I says, I'm willing if you are. I'd be glad to help. Be glad to work with you and join you in this process. And so we ran, like fire hydrant to fire hydrant in our development. Did a couch to 5K. And we finished and we thought we'd run a marathon. Well, and we quit and didn't run until the next year. And this went on for a few years. And second year, we decided there was another 5K we could run. After a few years, I was running and I found my stride. I was in a race and I found out later it was slightly downhill. And I found myself thinking, I wonder how fast and how far I can run. I wonder. In other words, it's the what if question. What if I did? Then it's followed quickly by another question. Why not? In survival, you'd say, why? Why do I want to run that? Why do I want to run? In fact, when we started posting on Facebook, I had one friend said, so what's your goal? Bad knees or a bad heart? I said, neither. I didn't tell him that, but no sense starting an argument. But it's like, what I've learned since is that actually it's good for the heart, especially a run walk. And the other thing with knees, when you start running later in life and you're checked out, you're okay. It actually kind of knocks some of the calcium off from what I understand. And it actually is good for you because you're strengthening your muscles. And especially recently, I've been getting back into doing more cross training. So you're training the muscles around your joints and the flexibility is fantastic for you. The exercise is fantastic for helping you stay active, and especially someone like me that's not real mobile during the day if I'm doing a lot of writing, a lot of phone calls, and even some recording. It's not like being out there running like you see in the picture behind me. It's good for us. Here's the other thing. A lot of runners find the runner's high, which is a release of endorphins. Again, I'm going to talk a fair amount about the brain and the hormones in the brain, and it floods our brains with good feelings. Well, who doesn't want to feel good? Now, for the most part, when I run, my legs hurt. It's a lot of work for me. Maybe I'm not in good enough shape yet. But the bottom line is, it makes me feel better having done it. And it's like, but the survivalists, they're looking and they're questioning other people saying, why? Why do you want to do that? Going back to last week's episode. But they're not appreciating my why. Why did I start running? I started running because of my wife. And then it kind of shifted. Because what I started to see was almost going back to revisit my youth and going back and saying, I wonder what would have happened if I would have. Well, I'm too slow to have ever won much of anything. That's not why I run. What I found was I run because it pushes me farther. It pushes me to do things that I wouldn't have done otherwise. And that's why we specifically enter races. Because, not virtual races, we've had enough of them for the most part. There's only one or two that we'd support. But when you come to a race and that first race, there was 14,000 people running in this 5K. Insane, huge. But notice the energy. The start has got the blaring music and heart-pounding music, and you want to run. And then I wore listen to my own music through earphones and found which ones. And I go, yeah, that's it. Maybe it's Bon Jovi, it's Living on a Prayer. That's our favorite. And it makes me want to run further. And so when I took that challenge, And I'm going to challenge you in a little bit. When I took that challenge to say, I wonder how far and how fast I can run. Challenge yourself in whatever ways to push yourself. And it's those opportunities saying, wow. So we ran a 10K. Well, okay. And then we're going to Seattle, and I live in Florida where it's flat. And we're going to Seattle to see family. And we says, I wonder if there's a race out there. Because part of it is my wife starts to like the big medals or to earn the medals. And the medals not just to say I'm fantastic, but to say I did it. And give ourselves something to feel good about in that sense. Small matter, but it all works, even those small things. And we did the 15K, but we had to train for it because they have a lot of hills, pretty steep hills, pretty high hills. And so we found a bridge and we just ran the bridge. Imagine how we felt once we came back and we turned in at good time. Wow, I'm liking how this feels. But if I did a 15K, maybe I can do a half marathon. And so we look forward to doing that in 2017. And as we ran the half marathons, we did 3 that year, one of them out in Colorado with even steeper hills. And then we started running Disney, and they just make everything fun. And I'd been talking to my wife about it. She said, no, I don't want to hear that M word. I don't want to hear about the marathon. But as we started accomplishing things, getting stronger, running and finishing the half marathons, you start looking for that next level. That's when we ran the marathon. And we trained and trained and trained. It takes about 4 months to train for a marathon. Out there running our long runs. Some of them, we ran up to 20 miles in the shot. Never thinking we would have ever done that. But we had trained our bodies, so we saw that we were able to do more. And then the big day came, January 7th of 2018. We went up for the marathon weekend in Disney, glad to get our shirts, buy the hats, and then we went out and did it. Oh, we were way at the back. We were back of the pack runners. But you know what? We finished. You don't have to win. You just have to finish to do what you never thought possible. Sometimes it is winning. Sometimes it is pushing you to win. You did it. And as my wife, when I went to post it on Facebook, she goes, would you mind if I did it? That's fine, go ahead. And she posted, she goes, we've been runners for several years now. As of today, we are marathoners. And as we talked about it and as we did our research, we realized that put us into 1%. Only 1% of the population runs a marathon. And I realized it with my PhD that brought me to 1%. Notice what that did is that showed me that I could do more than I ever thought possible. And part of it is building our own self-esteem. Part of it is understanding how we're uniquely valuable. Part of it is understanding what's my purpose now. And in that, in saying we can do more than we ever thought possible. I mean, writing books, doing movies, whatever. These are things that I never imagined as a chore boy living in a survivalist mindset. Now, you don't have to do what I do to live 100% alive. It's not a competition between you and me. It's a competition with ourselves to say, what can we do that we never thought possible? Wow, that is so exciting. You sit back and you say, we did it. I want you to think ahead. I want you to visualize 1 year into the future. And you say, by taking this mindset, what if and why not? What can you do by a year from today? How will you be, let me rephrase it. By a year from today, how would you think about yourself? And what opportunities will you be pursuing that right now or in the past you have dismissed, saying never thought possible? Is it going back to school? Is it starting a not-for-profit? Is it changing jobs? Is it just having an everyday approach of not living as a victim, but living as a winner, living in victory? Wow, isn't that amazing? Isn't that fantastic? So I'm going to challenge you today with the same one. You know it's coming. Believe it. Believe you can live 100% alive every day. Believe that you can go after the most important opportunities. Then reach for them. Go for them. And lastly, share the energy, share the joy, share the success. Celebrate others. Share it. I'm Dr. Lauren Murfield, encouraging you to live 100% alive. Until next week. Thanks for joining our show. I'm Dr. Lauren Murfield, and until next week, remember, don't just survive. You were born to live 100% alive.